Hi, everyone. This is Tracy Wilson Rossman coming to you from my home office. And I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Chariot Solutions. We're located outside of Philadelphia. And under normal circumstances, we're working together, sometimes in the office, sometimes at our clients, and sometimes we're working remotely with our clients. So with me today is Sujan Kapadia, who is our Director of Consulting. He and I were having a conversation over the last week of how Chariot has been able to work so well with our clients remotely. And we wanted to start a little series about not just tips and tricks about working from your home office, like, locking your door so your kids can't come in. But we also really wanted to talk about how you can work effectively to keep your teams together, and also as you're putting together projects, how you can make sure that you're working efficiently and effectively that way. So we're going to be doing this over the next few weeks. Sujan, I think our first sort of area that we're going to discuss this week is really more about the human side of working with your team, especially when all of you are not in the same room.
Hi, thanks for that introduction, Tracy. So I'm Sujan Kapadia, as Tracy said. I'm Director of Consulting at Chariot. Been working at Chariot for about 8 years, and as Tracy mentioned, we have a lot of experience in working in many different environments, in regulated environments, in offices, from Chariot, from home, from trains during our commute to work, working with teams that are partially in the office, partially on client, in some cases teams that are distributed all across the world, and everyone's working remotely. So we've been doing that for a long time. What's new this time is working exclusively from home when your children are at home, your other family members are at home, and you may be taking care of elderly parents, etc. So it's a unique situation we're all facing, and I think the best way is that if we all work together and help each other out in this time, if things are going to be a lot better. So I think this week we're going to talk about some of the human elements around how people have to adjust and shift to this new environment. The first thing I'd like to start with is encouraging social conversation. So something I miss having at the office, I come in the morning and I have my coffee and I'm talking to a few folks that get in really early like I do. And then I take breaks during the day talking to different people, meeting them in the break room, or we have a nice lounge set up at Chariot where we have a sofa and a TV, an arcade machine, and a ping pong table. So there's things we can naturally do to kind of decompress and talk to each other. That's really missing now that we're all working from home. So I think a big thing is letting your employees chat and having that virtual water cooler. If you're using Slack, you're using like the general channel or the random channel, whatever you may want to use, but encourage your employees to have non-work conversations, get together with each other virtually and be able to vent, rant, talk to each other about work, non-work stuff. I think that's really important in still keeping a normal, healthy work environment. Another thing I've noticed is since we're all working from home, the number of meetings have skyrocketed. A lot of times you hardly get a chance to do anything but go from meeting to meeting. So I would say start each meeting with a few minutes of non-work conversations, some social banter. People need to be able to come up for air and breathe between these meetings. So it's good if you incorporate that as part of your meeting before the actual discussion starts.
Totally agree. In fact, I had to think a little bit in advance because I knew I was a little hungry when we started this and it's almost lunchtime. So I made sure to, get my lunch. And I know yesterday you and I had a meeting to prep for this. And I was like, wait, I need to get a drink before we get started. So like thinking about those things.
That's a great point you actually mentioned. And maybe I should start sending notifications for meals or have stuff ready. Or I wish I had a mini fridge in my room. I didn't have lunch till 3:30 the other day because I was just going from meeting to meeting and it totally slipped my mind until I got a headache. And I'm like, oh, I must be hungry.
Oh, I never forget to eat. That's not a problem for me. But yeah, it's definitely, you have to think about some of these bio breaks that normally would happen. It's not like food is being brought in a regular office.
Right. I think the next thing is listen to your employees and adapt to their needs. So I think leadership needs to be involved. They need to be present online. people should be able to reach out to them, and vice versa. They should be able to reach out to their staff as well. Um, Listen to your employees and adapt to what they want. Get the tools they need. Don't put impediments in their way for collaborating, for sharing information, for conversing, for doing whatever they need to do. Everything is really flipped upside its head. So I think that we need to make sure that people are being heard, because it's just that much more challenging these days. And I think Chariot, since we have a naturally distributed workforce, it used to be quarterly company meetings, happy hours, things like that. Unfortunately, we can't do that right now. But that's where things like Slack and email and people just having everyone's contact information available so you can call them on your phone or whatever. Just make sure you stay available.
Definitely.
Another thing I feel is organizational skills are really important now, and it becomes readily apparent, even for me, for example, when I lack organization in a certain area, because now you're going to be sharing information a lot more frequently with each other. So it's good to have a structure in place to share that information, whether that's Google Docs or Confluence, Wikis, or SharePoint. People being able to find stuff fast, being able to edit it, being able to send it out to others, and knowing where to go to look for stuff is important. So that's obviously a key best practice, whether this is going on or not, whether you're in the office or out of the office, but it's even more important now. So I think that's something where we can all help each other get better at that. Instead of criticizing each other, help each other.
Exactly. And I actually have a good example as we're getting ready to, as we're moving our big conference from live to online. And it used to be very easy to talk to the team that helps us organize it, pick up a phone or, just do a quick chat. We started doing stand-ups, something I've learned from the development team. So every morning we're doing a stand-up. We're sharing the document online. We have a document day by day so that we know what our tasks are as a team, and we're splitting it up. And we know, we're doing that over a Slack call and a screen share, which I've never done before. But it's amazing how much it has kept us organized, on task, and just the communication. It actually has saved us time because we are not going back and forth with Slack discussions because we know what we're supposed to do.
Another, I think, big thing is don't interrupt people's workflows unnecessarily. It's very easy to do that. It's very easy now because everyone is remote to say, hey, I have a question or this or that, and just reaching out at any moment of the day to do that versus maybe like collecting your questions and then sending something out. Everyone already has a lot of things going on, work and not at work, because some people may have children at home. Like I said, some people may have elderly relatives they're caring for. So people need time to focus and avoid distractions. Be okay with setting do not disturb. That's not rude. You're not giving someone the middle finger, be like, hey, don't bother me. It's just people have to respect each other's privacy and time to do stuff. Use your status to your advantage on Slack or Google Hangout to indicate whether you're busy, whether you're free, whether you don't want to be disturbed, whether you're on a call. Some tools automatically do that. When you're on Slack and you're on a call, your status will automatically be updated. Big thing that is useful for me, I get a lot of emails throughout the day, is snoozing emails until later. So Gmail, for example, has a great snooze option where you can say snooze for 30 minutes, for an hour. You can pick a custom time a day. And it allows me to address things later on when it's more convenient for me.
Oh, I did not
that
know.
has been a lifesaver.
I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out.
So that being said, about people not interrupting each other and unnecessarily, or there's a flip side to that, is everyone does need to make themselves available via the same tools. I get stuff on Slack, I get stuff on Hangout, I get stuff on SMS, I get stuff on email, I get stuff on Google Docs, many different ways of being notified, and it can kind of become really, really chaotic. So everyone should try to make themselves available via the same tool. So like, and this includes leadership especially, everyone should be on Slack if that's your tool, or whatever internal chat tool you use, whether that's Microsoft Teams or whatever. But pick something, everyone should be on it, so people don't have to figure out, well, this person likes using text, so I'm going to text them. This person likes emails, I'm going to email them. No one should have to think about what each person prefers for their communication method.
Totally agree. It would make it a lot easier. And sometimes you start one conversation with someone on one method, and then you're moving it to another communication method, and it doesn't pick up naturally.
Yeah. Um, the thing is, your desk, your office, your whiteboard, everything, your break room, right? They're all online now. You got to think of your entire office world online. So again, I'm kind of repeating some of the same tips here, but make it very easy to share and edit documents, whether that's Google Docs or Confluence or SharePoint or whatever. Um, it's okay to do things iteratively. Typically people, when they write something and share it, they want to make sure it's perfect before they share it. Do not worry about that anymore. Do not worry about grammar initially. Do not worry about whether something's a work in progress, or as my daughter call a sloppy copy. It's okay. Be agile, be iterative. If you have an idea, put it into a document, share it, and people will edit and contribute. No one should criticize each other. Share it frequently and often.
And that's a great point as well. And especially as you had said earlier, with people maybe on different schedules. So not everyone's going to be working, within the same bandwidth because they're dealing with kids or other circumstances. They may have to be sharing bandwidth for all we know. It's to your point, it allows people to see if they weren't able to make a meeting, that information that's in that document, and then they can add in. So I thought
Yeah.
that was a really good tip.
And I suffer from that a lot. I think it's just the education system. We're trained to, like, when you write something, it's got to be perfect and before
Right.
you share with others. And I think we have to stop thinking that way and be okay with just getting things out.
Yeah, and I think we're definitely seeing it with this type of video that we're doing right now.
That's a good point.
You're in your bedroom, and I did remember to put on some makeup before we got on,
I
but
did not, unfortunately. And I got to tell Tracy, I was hesitant to do this.
but I think that we're just getting used to the fact that people are at home, and we are a little bit more forgiving. And I think that's a really good point. Unless a document is going out for public viewing, then of course we have to apply, regular business standards. But internally, um, I think we can be a little less perfect. I think it also just in general we need to cut each other a little more, a little more slack.
Absolutely. I think it's another thing I've noticed. It's very easy now to feel left out of a conversation, even more so than before, or miss out on important details if you can't make a meeting. To your point earlier, everyone's schedules are kind of chopped up now with home life too, so it's harder to sync up. So I think for any meeting, anything going on, any chat, whatever, someone should recap or summarize a meeting or a chat and put it into a document and send it out, and others can read and then edit afterwards. And it does take time and energy to do that, so people can rotate that responsibility. It shouldn't fall on the same person every time to take minutes and send it out, so people can rotate that around, or whatever makes sense. If there's an expert in the area and it makes sense for them to write that down, that's fine, but don't leave people out. It's too easy to do that now.
Right, right. Sujan, I had mentioned earlier, we didn't talk about this before, but a stand-up. Not everyone may be familiar with the term stand-up and what it means. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that that's a great organizational tool.
Absolutely, that's a good point. So I can speak from the perspective of development and
Yeah.
product development. We do stand-ups as engineers, whether that's on a daily basis or a weekly basis, where each person basically is standing. And the point of standing up is that the meeting shouldn't last too long, 5 to 10 minutes. And you talk about what you did the day before, what you're planning on doing today, and if there's been any blockers or impediments to being able to get your work done. And what that is, it gives a really fast status to everyone of what each person is doing and whether things are blocking them. And then after the stand-up, you can talk in more length about the blockers and like, hey, can you help me out on this? Or, oh, am I blocking something you need to do? but it's just a quick way to get status so people don't diverge.
So that's another tip for, development teams. They're probably used to it, but especially in this remote situation, it may prevent a longer meeting from happening.
Exactly. Another thing we've done there, or experience I have in the past, is sometimes as teams get larger, stand-ups are challenging because each person speaks. So the larger the team, the longer the stand-up. And if you do that every day, for example, it takes a lot of time. So what we started doing on several projects that were more distributed across the world, um, we did virtual stand-ups. So on Slack, for example, everyone would post their updates and then people could read and then post afterwards. And that way more people could that come on at different times could still participate in the stand-up. You have naturally have a record of your stand-up. So you almost get a log of progress and what's going on. So it's good to keep track of that. And it just makes it easier for larger teams to have stand-ups without taking up a huge amount of time.
It's a great point. Anything else you want to add?
I guess it's been 2 weeks now that I've been at home, and it's a learning experience every day. I'm learning better ways to do things. I'm learning more about myself. I think as we come out of this, we're going to be a lot better and more efficient at communicating than we were before.
Yeah, I think that's really important for us to think about. There are some bright spots that'll come out of this. So as we're going to do this on a weekly basis, there's definitely some things that we may not be thinking about. So if you have questions or topics that you would like to have us cover, and we could do some research if we don't have the exact answer, just at the bottom of the screen, you can send it to info@chariotssolutions.com and I will get that. Also, we are probably going to have some guests to talk about different tools and different things that they've been doing to be more successful with their remote teams. So Sujan, thank you so much for your time. And now you can unlock your door so that your daughter can come in. And I can open my door so that my husband can come in and we can talk about what we're eating for lunch. So
She just had a meltdown, so I'm going to keep the door locked.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with that right now.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate everyone who's joining this, listening on this, and please share your ideas, questions, whatever. Again, this is something that we all have to stick together to get through.
Thanks, Sujan.
Thank you.
Bye.